Awesome. Okay. Hey everyone. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Leah and this is Neil, and we are both golf coaches, PGA professionals, and we also have in common we are dyslexic. So I guess we're kind of going to name this. I can't remember what name did we settle on. I think it was being dyslexic and golf.
Yes.
Was that one of the names we kicked around? We can keep working on the name suggestions. If anyone wants to put one forward. But yeah, we met a couple of weeks ago in a Zoom call, and we discovered that we are both dyslexic, and we then have had a separate little chat to the side about different ways that we have had to adapt and cope with things during our journey, not only in golf but in life in general. And then we both sort of come up with the idea of, wouldn't it be awesome to create a forum or a space for other coaches who have dyslexia, but maybe going a little step beyond that? Neil, you put some suggestions forward in our chats. If you want to add to that as well.
Before contacting you, Leah, I was really sort of in a shell and not really sort of being confident, well, understanding my dyslexic and being sort of afraid of being dyslexic and trying to not let other people know that I'm dyslexic. And having chats with you, you've really sort of like made me a lot confident and understanding of not being frightened of being dyslexic, and learning my weaknesses and my strengths, and then just really building up from that, really. So that's where so I've always had that sort of stigma of like, not trying to let other people know that I'm dyslexic, and I've got, dyslexic where words and numbers I'm not too good at. People around me know, but I don't sort of spread it out. But it's kind of like, for you, what you've sort of shown me is not to be frightened of it, and just so I really appreciate what you've said, and really I've looked at a bit more in detail in terms of what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are. So I really feels that I'm more confident about myself and my ability to do things, because now I know that I'm not so good with numbers, so I walk around it. Or I've with texting, I'm using like the speaking on that, and so words are getting around it. So when coaching, when I'm with the kids, and we've got the numbers going on, I was like, right, test for you. You're gonna have to add all of your name and numbers up. So it's like, rather than me doing the numbers, well done. So it's kind of like getting around that, and I feel like a lot more day to day. I feel a bit more confident in my ability to do things, because knowing my sort of strengths are really, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm really pleased that I've made you feel a bit more confident with it, and I totally relate to that feeling. And it's only in the last few years that I've sort of embraced it a bit more and been a bit like, so what? I have dyslexia, and I'm just going to tell people that I have it. And actually, I've so far have not had any negative responses to that. If anything, it's just made everything a lot easier and a lot stronger. I think it explains a lot more. Or see, I'm already mixing it up. I think it helps people understand me a bit more. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think really today, just a good point is just to go into our sort of background. From we found out or got diagnosed with dyslexia, and then how we've adapted and taken that throughout our lives. I mean, I'm a 90s baby, 90s child. I don't look it. And I was fortunate. I got kind of picked up, if you like, quite early on in the school system, which back in the 90s, that wasn't always the case. Not every child got picked up. But I was in reception class, I think probably like 4. Is that when you start school? 4? Around then.
Yeah,
And
4, 5, yeah.
obviously I realised very quickly the rest of the class could start reading and started to be able to write their names with the letters. Fortunately, numbers have been all right for me, but certainly reading and writing has always been tricky. But yeah, very early on, we saw that I was way behind compared to all the other children. And all I remember is being taken out of that class and sitting these like bizarre tests. I guess that's the only way I can describe it. And obviously out of it, they came to the conclusion that I had dyslexia, which for my parents was a bit of a relief. They sort of, realised now, okay, since she's not stupid, let's just use that word, stupid, but there's something going on here. And I think on that subject, I think I've had the feeling, especially in the past, of when I can't do something or I've misspelled something majorly or made a massive mistake, I do think I'm stupid, but I think it's important to make it clear that people with dyslexia or any other learning difficulty are not stupid. You're actually very, very intelligent. It's just what I've learned and been told is that our brains just process information differently. I'm sure you're going to have very similarity to how we go around things, but from that point, being diagnosed at that age, I just remember having to have these booster special ed classes. I don't know if you ever had anything like that at school, Neil.
I don't know why they called it LX, but it was LX, learning, extra learning, but it was, and dyslexic. Why have they called it dyslexic when it's like the most impossible word to spell?
Exactly. I love that, LX.
Being pulled out from you were saying about being pulled out from your most PE and art, and you've just found that, well, that's my strengths. And I think that's being dyslexic. You have got that sort of like creativity, extra. I don't know how you could call it, but that being creative, I think, becomes a little bit more easier being dyslexic, I think, and being taken away from that, and then going to extra learning, it must be so frustrating. And
yeah, Alex, yeah, no, definitely. I would. I've always been a relatively creative person. I wouldn't say I'm a amazing drawer, but I'm very creative, like making things, and been sort of pretty gifted, I guess, at sport. I could do sport. I was one of the runners, basket, netball, whatever. But suddenly being pulled out of those environments to do the booster classes at 4-year-old me, 5-year-old me was devastated, because I just saw it as, oh, the one moment where I can sort of shine, if you like, was being ripped away from me, to go into a class that was reminding me that I wasn't as clever, or I was behind. That word behind was used a lot to everyone else. And I'm sure maybe the school system's slightly different now. Like I said, I'm a 90s child, but I just felt like that wasn't the most productive way of doing that for a small child. I was fully aware that I was different. And it left a horrible feeling. And then end of primary school, I didn't do particularly well in SATs. I don't know if it's still called SATs now. Probably be called something different. Sort of this way, they were very low grades, particularly in English. So then when I went to secondary school, I was put in lower classes. But because of that experience, and also what I'm about to tell you happened next. So when I got to secondary school, there was a gathering assembly where they read a list of all the children who had special needs, had to go into a separate room, but they read this list in front of the whole year group. And kids can be mean, especially in secondary school. It's just that sort of environment. And I just remember walking, it felt like the tail between my legs, with all this sniggering and the kids being like, ha, you need special classes, da, 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 da. And that moment there, I just said to my mum, I don't want the help, because it was just so embarrassing and humiliating. I would rather have sacrificed the help than have to go through that every time we had to have an exam or needed extra help, to have that list read out in front of everyone. I hope that changed.
Yeah,
Horrific.
life changing sort of have an event on your confidence, on your well-being, and on your character. You know, have to have that going through that, and then you have to. It's all your peers and sort of like taking the mick out of you, and you have to then try even harder to try to break out of it. And it just feels school is it's cruel. It's cruel.
No, schools can be cruel environments, and you can't blame the children. That's just part of life, finding their own personality. Yeah. And also they're trying to do it to make sure that they don't get picked on. But I just mean the system, the teachers who did that surely at what point did it run through their heads that was a good idea to call out a list in front of, I think there's like 300 students. I think that was not the most productive way of doing that. I would hope it's slightly different now. So secondary school, I then actually didn't have any extra help because of that incident. Managed to do okay in the end, but like you said, it was a struggle. I mean, I had to work probably twice, triple as hard as anybody else to try and keep up, which probably in hindsight wasn't necessary. I didn't need to do that if I hadn't had that horrible experience on the first sort of day of secondary school as a little year 7 student. And then after secondary school, did all right, and I've just sort of adapted in life and just sort of worked my way through. And I think, as you said at the beginning, the use of technology has definitely helped me. Yeah. Obviously, you could use computers, which has spell check, which is amazing, although I still managed to get it wrong, but not as bad. But now with the iPhones, iPad, Android, where you can actually talk to it and then it writes the word for you, massive game changer. And nowadays I don't find I make as many mistakes because I have that technology to help me. So I wonder in schools whether they incorporate that a bit more. So anyone watching this who's in the school scene, I'd love to know. So that's kind of me and my background. So Neil, do you want to talk a little bit more about yourself and your journey?
So it was a bit of a blur, but it's been a while. So yeah, school was pretty tough. I sort of knew that I was a bit slow on my reading and writing. And my writing was good, but my reading and spelling and my words, my numbers weren't so good. So really from there, it's got like bottom of the class. You kind of felt that, well, how am I going to get myself good at things when I'm like right at the bottom? And it's like, well, what does that sort of like say to me? But I think over the course, I had like, what is it called? My mum put me through sort of like Sunday school sort of thing. And then that helped me through with extra sort of like curriculum and stuff. But I think it was a bit anxious doing the PGA because I've managed to get through college, and I've done a few assignments, but it was like I don't think it was in assignments, I think. But to going through the PGA, I remember the class and you had the head teacher. I can't remember his name. You probably know his name, would you? Of the PGA?
It's Gareth.
Yeah.
Gareth. Yeah.
So he suggested, so if anyone's got the dyslexic attributes, we need to find that you need to prove that you are dyslexic. So I've gone through the certification of it all. It's at £300. I think they paid half of it, and it's like I've got a certificate. Yeah.
Hey,
I've got that. And to be fair, like you were saying, with technology, I hope that schools can help pupils out. if they sort of understood that they are dyslexic, well, then use technology to your advantage, use that, and then you can then improve as a person, build up the confidence up, etc., etc. So what happened to have was a reader and a scribe through my education of the PGA, which was brilliant. I remember I had to put a little star on my assignments, and like you were saying, I remember you were saying, like, you as a dyslexic person, you always have to try harder than everybody else. So it's just like, that's my natural sort of attribute of my characters. I have to try. I usually try harder than most people because I have to do it. Otherwise, I would.
Yeah, I guess it's like an inbuilt, inbuilt part of your DNA almost. Like you're fully aware that you're going to have to, which is never a bad thing.
No, exactly, and that's what you. I appreciate what you're saying. So my assignments, I really try hard on, and some of them I got distinction on it, which is a tribute to the obviously the wording wasn't quite perfect or etc., but I had the right contents in there to get distinction on it. So credits due for the PJ. I think you were saying that you had a bit of a more of a hurdle.
Slightly different experience, because that kind of test that you have to do to get your certificate, because I hadn't been or had any extra external help during secondary school. When it came to it, I didn't have the certificate, the proof, if you like. The records had gone, so I had to take this test. And at the time, I think I was 22, just moved to Surrey. I didn't have £300 just to put on this test, and I think that's for me where I'm really upset by it. It's not PGA. They've got to, someone's got to take the time to do the test with you, and you've got to sit down. But why are we paying that amount of money for something that we have no control over? Like, it's not. We were born this way, and it's such a disadvantage. So just because someone who doesn't have dyslexia, they haven't had to, out of their own pocket, put £300 into a degree that they're doing. I think there must be a better, more cost-effective way of getting this certificate, because I get it. They need proof, if you like, that you have got this learning difficulty.
It should have been done like at school at some point, like gone through that test, and you got that certification and then and you can then use that for the rest of your education, your higher education. And I
definitely. Or unfortunately, you got some people out there who have never been picked up, if you like, until later on in life. And I think it's highly unfair that you would have to pay that amount of money to get this certification. I think it could cost less. I can't see why you have to pay that much to get that, to then get the help that you need. I think that's where the system is still maybe out of kilter, out of whack slightly. Again, it'd be interesting to see people's thought on this point. What their experience is and their views on it. I'm not completely silly. I understand there's got to be some cost for it because it takes time, resources, but I feel like it shouldn't be as extortionate as that, versus someone who doesn't have to do that because they're simply born with genes that hasn't given them this learning difficulty. So I guess there's kind of almost like an equality debate there. But it's awesome that you got the help from the PGA. Obviously, because I didn't afford it, I didn't get help, but I still did well. I still passed.
I don't think I would have passed if I didn't, to be fair. I was just like, credits due to you.
I think, I got a few distinctions along the way. For me, it was a balancing act. So knowing my strengths and my weaknesses. So I knew on the assignments I could do well, because I had the time to obviously plan them, write them, get people to check it, just packed as much content into that. Whereas I knew with the exams, I would maybe struggle slightly because either misreading a question, that's normally a good one of mine, or obviously writing an answer. If I haven't spelt something completely correct, they are not going to give me the mark, even though they might know what I mean. They won't give me the mark because they didn't know I had dyslexia.
Yeah.
So I think that's sometimes a bit harsh as well. So I am a typical sort of either miss a letter or I'll switch a letter. I don't know if that's how it affects you, but certainly with me, I will, twist letters around or just slightly drop one or two. I think I did it the other day when I sent you a handle for someone's Instagram. I missed a couple of letters out. But you could still tell what the word was. But because I didn't have the certificate, I wouldn't have been given that mark. So again, I think that's something that the education system has to look at, because you just know there's going to be kids out there who haven't been picked up with difficulty, and that could be doing a slight disservice. But a bit interesting to see people's thought, or like I said, anyone who watches this who are in the school system, whether it's any better. I would really like to. I'm quite intrigued to know what help's available and what's going on. Really, I think that's.
So you're saying you've got you like myself, is that you see things in terms of like pictures, which is very good. Good, I think, when it comes to sports. You want to have a nice visualization of what you intend to do. So I think that's part of it, and I think problem solving, as you know, golf is, you've got a tree in front of you, right? What do I need to go around the tree, etc., etc. So very much every shot is very much of a problem solving sort of type of, and what else is it you suggested about talking in front of people, like, where you're in front of a class, etc., etc. So yeah, from a any up and coming professional, just really hopefully viewing this the video, hopefully it gives you more encouragement and confidence in order to do what you want to do whether in life, hopefully. So it's just making you aware, like you saying after talking to you, don't be frightened of being dyslexic. Understand what's the word you said about sort of like appreciating your strengths and just build up from that, really.
Just embrace it. So
embrace it.
This is our first little pilot prototype, which we're hopefully going to post onto your page. And I think we just want to open this to the floor, really. But in particular, if there's any golf professionals out there who have dyslexia, we want to be, I guess, I don't know, the figureheads of coming to us if you've got any advice or thoughts or comments, feedback. But obviously this is open to anybody. So if there's any parents out there who have any children with dyslexia and they're not really sure what's going to happen or how their future is going to be affected, we'd love to talk to you. I like to think we've turned out all right. We're doing okay.
Yeah. I think it's just encouraging people to don't be frightened of being dyslexic, and just trying to wave a flag and just trying to spread
the word, really. Getting it out there.
Yeah.
No,
and it encourages people and gives them confidence to do what trying to do. Yeah
100%. So we'll check in again very soon, Neil, but thank you so much for talking about it. I love it.
It's been good. So we'll do one next. We'll keep an eye on the comments and stuff like that, and see if we can bring in any other any thoughts, any other attributes of other tour professionals, children perhaps who are going through that sort of difficult stage of going through school and or just doing your PGA or something like that, a professional golfer.
Awesome. Right. We'll see you all very soon.
See ya.